I'm trying to make sure we have a quorum. We have 7? Okay. All right, then. Not that I needed to do that because you're all paying attention anyway. I'd like to call the Board of Directors meeting of May 21st, 2025 to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Board Member Bushnell,
Present.
Board Member Casebolt, Board Member Denson,
Excuse?
here. Board Member Holm,
Here.
Board Member Hubler,
Here.
Board Member Hulsey,
Excused.
Board Member Lauricella, alternate lane for Board Member Mello, Board Member Rumbaugh,
Excused.
alternate Sudich for Vice Chair McGilligan,
Here.
and Chair Dorr.
Here. And just, are we able to make sure that there's nobody on the attendee side that, because I think some of these board members were going to be present. I see the attendee slot, oh, that is us. Participants, I can't see. We have no other board members stuck where we're not seeing them. That's my question.
Doesn't look like it.
Okay, well, all right. Did anybody submit public comment prior to the meeting?
No public comment has been received.
And did anybody sign up for public comment today?
None today.
Okay, moving on. I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Move to approve agenda. Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All those opposed? Agenda is approved. Next is the consent agenda. Will the clerk please read the consent agenda items?
Item number 1, approval of the minutes of the April 16th, 2025 Board of Directors meeting. Item number 2, motion 2025-20 to authorize payment of the Hexagon Microsoft SQL licensing in an amount not to exceed $57,600 plus any applicable taxes. And item number 3, motion 2025-21 to authorize approval of the annual Microsoft Enterprise Agreement through Microsoft affiliate SHI International Corp. In an amount not to exceed $175,000 plus any applicable taxes.
Is there any item on the consent agenda a member would like pulled for further discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve consent agenda.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Consent agenda is approved. Okay, can you please note that Board Member Denson has joined us? Can't see it. I don't have the screen. Scott's head's in the way. No, it's not, but I didn't see it. Okay, moving on, radio system providers update, and we have Mr. Key.
Morning, Chair and Board. Daniel Key, City of Tacoma, on behalf of your radio system owners. Brief update today. As you recall, for 2025, our regional steering group went to a bi-monthly cadence, so there's no update or agenda for you this month review. We'll be meeting again the last week of June with ongoing operational and system maintenance topics. We'll, of course, advise if there's anything relevant between now and then to you as a board. As far as the single system project is concerned, we had a good reconvening of the principals of the radio system owners within the last month. After elections and transitions in leadership, we were able to bring that group of stakeholders together and have a great discussion about the history of the project and the analysis to date and what the remaining questions are. There was good energy, good understanding of where we are, and a commitment to meeting regularly to move this topic forward. And so there are a couple of questions about how to reinvigorate the technical topics to make sure everybody understands what the options are, what the prices around those options are, and then the broader decision around how do we structure a sustainable radio operation for the entire county, and what are the benefits of that. So we are subject to the whims of schedules and agendas and time and space like anything else. So getting those recurring meetings scheduled is a challenge. And so this pace will be whatever our other jobs allowed, but we are committed and engaged in the topic. and look forward to reporting out with you on what next steps might be as soon as we have something tangible to engage with.
Any questions for Director Keys? All right, thank you so much.
All right.
And please note that Executive Mello has joined us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan. Okay, and I thought I saw Chief Sharp for the PSC. Oh, there he is, PSCOC report.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. As Daniel said, we're also on a bi-monthly schedule, no meeting this month, and so nothing to report from the meeting. Our next meeting would be June 5th, but I'm always happy to answer any questions that might be out there.
Any questions for Chief Sharp? All right, seeing none. Thanks, Chief. Have a good conference.
Thank you.
And now we have the Executive Director's briefing, which is on page 19 of your packet.
Good morning, Chair Dorr. Good morning, members of the board, those that are physically present and those that are joining us virtually. I have a few items to report out. One is about, as Mr. Keys talked about, the radio system owners meeting. I did attend that. It was, first of all, just nice to see some of the folks that perhaps, 5 or 6 years ago I had worked with to help advance this whole enterprise. For example, Hyun Kim, Steve Victor, all folks that I had worked with early on in the cost allocation committee. So it's nice to become reacquainted and talk to them. I do agree very much that this was a good meeting to reconvene. We kind of established some of the pathways again. Things that I was throwing out to talk about, not that we necessarily have substantive resolution to any of these, but are just to give you a sense of what we were talking about. At some point, there were 13 what I would call functions or outcomes that largely had been compiled based on feedback from fire chiefs and police chiefs. And so I just refer to those as the 13 functions. I had suggested, why don't we reaffirm those with our current group of chiefs, just to make sure that those are the objectives that we want to move forward with. We talked about maybe how to do that, whether or not that should come before the regional steering group or perhaps at the PSCOC level. A good point that Daniel made that kind of stuck with me is that even if you use an LTE style system, a hybrid system, you still have to have a core of LMR. So we can't abandon radio even if we went to LTE. So that was a good point to digest. And then there's proposals given the revenue stream that is associated with this organization that could be used as a funding stream for some other expansion for connectivity and so forth. And those are items that we haven't explored at all, but I'm interested to be part of that and advance that. So very good meeting. And then because RL is an amazing hard charger, she's going to kind of form the next meeting. She's taken on the doodle poll, and I think we'll be in the room again sooner than later. So let's see, as part of our standing practice here, we also like to celebrate or talk about some of the high quality work that occurs at our dispatch telecommunicator level. And I want to talk about a couple of those today. There's some tough subject matter here, so bear with me on that. The first one is a May 3rd incident, and our telecommunicator is Jaslyn, and I think it's Filion. She received a call from a male caller saying that the male caller's female friend was being assaulted by a male, and he had received, first of all, a text message. The friend had received a text message from her, and then a call where she was screaming and a male was yelling at her, and then there was a disconnection of the call. Fortunately, our Jaslyn stayed with it, stayed with the call, and she involved officers as soon as she was able, and then helped them get in touch with the female's mother, who I think I remember from a different report on this, I think she was in Sumner, the mother was, but she was able to give an address to the police, I think a Federal Way address, where the daughter was last known to be. And so the police went up there. They didn't find her at the address, but they did find her nearby. She was bound and gagged. She had been raped. But because of that quick response, they were able to get her medical care and then track down the perpetrator. So I want to read out just the quote from the detective. He says, "Huge shout out to South Sound for going above and beyond with this simple open line and sending PD to get the info. Because of South Sound, we were able to identify our victim and also catch our suspect. We're incredibly thankful to everyone or everything you did for this case." So Jaslyn, thank you very much. Second one is Kaylee Thomas. This was a May 10 incident. She received a call through the automatic crash detection or notification system that a vehicle crash had occurred. She was able to reach the driver of the vehicle or one of the people involved in the accident, who was a male, and he said he was fine, but she observed that she noticed that he was slurring his words. And then she used one of the technologies that's available here at South Sound 911 to locate the vehicle and noticed that it was in the middle of the road. Obviously, she was astute enough to recognize, hey, something is not right here. And so she involved, of course, law enforcement. But ultimately, she was able to track down and talk to the father of the male, and he confirmed that they were involved in the crash and the son actually had a serious head injury. So staying with that, she was able to, her attentiveness to detail, she could have just accepted the response that everything was fine and moved on, but she didn't. Picked up that something was not right, and care or help was summoned for the folks who had gotten in an accident. So thank you very much, Kaylee, for being astute. Thank you for following up. Thank you for being thorough. These folks are heroes and we appreciate them very much. There are some upcoming conferences for you folks to note, and that's just on page 20 of my report. The NINA conference down in California is occurring on June 21 through 26, and then the AWC conference follows that. So those are always good conferences for us to attend. All right, I think that's the end of my report and remarks at this point. Oh, I do have something.
We do have something. Could you please
Yes.
introduce?
Yes, thank you, Chair Dorr. I want to introduce to you in person, Kendra Rosenberg. Kendra is our interim counsel while we are in an organization in transition. Kendra is an attorney with Kenyon Deason. Kenyon Deason, if you don't know, is a longtime municipal law firm in the state of Washington. Kendra is a super seasoned attorney. She actually used to serve in-house as Auburn's city attorney. And she has a substantial labor component in her practice, which we love. So welcome aboard, Kendra. And Kendra, to the maximum extent you can, feel free to engage her. Just use her like our counsel. You can reach out. You don't have to go through me if you don't want to. You can talk directly to her. So just use her just like she would be in-house counsel.
And so I don't know how the board would contact her. Is that something, her contact information can be?
Yes, happy to
Distributed.
distribute that.
And then if you could talk about why we need Kendra?
Well, I can't do it all. And so that's the very practical reason. As you know, I've told this story a number of times. I came to be general counsel, and then halfway through the interview, I was also asked to serve as the interim. I tried to do that for a while, but then I was recognizing, hey, I'm getting behind. I'm a week behind on contract review, or I'm not getting back to a public records request and that kind of thing. Too many things started building up. Plus, it's frankly just inappropriate for me to try to be wearing both of those hats. Not only to be advancing things that might be of interest to the organization or to me, and then also serving as the attorney who's supposed to be looking out for the organization's interests. So separated those functions. It's a much more professional arrangement this way. And frankly, again, it's just practical.
You welcome. I know that we received an email. I just wanted to have the board understand the reason behind that decision and the experience that we are blessed with. Okay, Deputy Director Mears, Operations and Facility Update. And that
Good
is
morning,
on
Chair. Good morning, Board.
page 27.
Start off like we normally do with staffing and training. Is proceeding nicely. We've got, as indicated in my report, we have 19 people in training currently. We're started interviews for our next class. We've had some retirements coming up, as well as some people that are just moving. And so we'll be looking for a little bit larger class this next time, probably somewhere between 8 and 12. We're not quite sure yet, but we've started that process already. Moving on to facilities, no work at the PSCC this month currently, but 35th Street is moving fast and furious. If you were to go over there now, you'd see the whole front area, all the office area, back to where the supervisors were in the interview room, completely gutted. All the flooring's up. They are starting paint and new flooring, and the cabinetry is being built for the kitchen. So everything's moving fast forward with that. We're still waiting on final approval for the floor wiring and for the fire suppression unit, but as soon as we have that, we'll build that into the timeline. And we're still looking at an October, September sign-off date for the building to be completed on the inside. So with that, if there's any questions, I'll answer them or try to.
Or do you have any questions? So Mark, could you just highlight this 988 update? Are we fully staffed now, and do we have 24/7 coverage, or what does that look like right now?
I didn't hear the last part. We do not have 24/7 coverage yet, and I believe we are still waiting for one more person to have the position filled. We just brought another person on this week, so it's not reflected in this report. So,
Thank you. I appreciate that. Appreciate the update. And anybody, turn my attention to online just to make sure that the online members do not have questions. I don't see any hand raised. Thank you so much, Mark. Appreciate it.
hey, Tim, you need to turn your camera on for this next report.
He's behind you.
Oh. I didn't see you.
Okay, and next is support services update, Deputy Director Hamel, page 29, board.
Thank you, Chair Dorr. Good morning, board members. This morning, I wanted to highlight for the community relations, the upcoming events. There's quite a list there, and it's quite the blending as the school year comes to a close, but the summer season begins to kick off. We have upcoming school events to wind down the school season, and we have a lot of community interaction with partner agency events and on the community. It's nice to see. We mentioned toward the end of last summer that we were branching out into farmers markets, and there are several market appearances listed in the upcoming month. We also previously reported that there was a Pierce County fire project in concert primarily with Central Pierce driving that effort through. That project is complete. I'm happy to report. There's some information in the report related to that. And we've been giving recurring updates on the law enforcement records management system replacement project as well. This month wanted to highlight that while that main project is continuing on as expected, also as a reminder, for the last 25 years, the South Sound technical team and development team has managed not only the RMS system itself, managing police reports and retention, but there are a whole suite of applications that are related to that are maintained internally. And so as we're working on the Motorola Premier One project, that replaces the core RMS function, but there are other applications that require attention and modernization. So actually beginning yesterday, we're piloting one of those upgraded applications internally with our records department, which supports the transfer of warrant data from the courts to South Sound 911 for handling entry into state and nationwide databases and retention of copies of the warrants electronically. And so we're in a pilot phase for that. And on the CAD replacement selection process, since our last meeting, we had a group of multidisciplined stakeholders from our customer agencies as well as internal South Sound 911 staff interview 3 public safety software consulting firms to make a recommendation. The next steps after those interviews is for the Finance Committee in the beginning of June to hear about that process, and then the PSCOC prior to coming back to the board is anticipated in June. And lastly, but not least, as mentioned, Tim, through the magic of technology, is both on the screen and in the room. And he announced his retirement from public safety. And I don't know if everyone heard that, but we wanted to take a moment to recognize and honor 30 years of service in public safety, including the last 10 years or so with South Sound 911. And when we provide project updates, he's often one of those driving forces behind the scenes, in addition to supporting the monthly meetings. And we see him interacting and admitting board members into the meeting space online. But he's really just been an advocate for 911 and for our technology, and wanted to give a moment for Tim to stand and be recognized in this transition phase in his life. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, board.
Thank you. Any questions for Deputy Director Hamel? Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, wait. Board Member Hubler.
I actually don't have a question, but I want to say thank you for the outreach that came out to Bunny Lake High School on Saturday. It was awesome. I didn't know they were coming. I run the event, so I didn't know they were coming. And it was very big surprise to see everybody come out and have that presence. So thank you for making sure they got out there.
Excellent. Thank you.
Moving on to chair comments, and Tim, you can be first on my list here. I've had the opportunity to work with Tim both at the city of Puyallup and then again here at South Sound 911. He, along with Kevin, were very instrumental in bringing me along on this subject matter. It was very confusing for a non-public safety radio user, and I always appreciate it. You know, Tim and Kevin both whiteboard. They would, here's the tower, here's the signal, here's the widget, you know, because like, what are we talking about? But Tim, I've always appreciated your willingness to engage, educate, your professionalism, and I wish you the best. I'm sad. I've always threatened to take Tim in the trunk of my car and return him to Puyallup. Debbie and I had that little exchange. And he's my person, but I wish you nothing but the best, and so appreciate you. Okay, so let's see. The executive director recruitment notice went out on Monday. Karis will be interviewing those candidates as they come in to whittle, narrow down that pool. The work group will convene the second week of July and further narrow down the pool to determine who we want to interview. So there's not going to be really any activity on the work group side or a report out until the July meeting. Also, Chief Fisher has announced his retirement, and he's not here today, but hopefully we will see him again. I've really appreciated his engagement as was he the president, the co-chair? Well, the co-chairs meeting, I cannot recall. I think he was the president at one point, but Chief Sharp and Chief Fisher have been amazing to work with. We have a monthly meeting where I get to hear about their concerns, their feedback, and again, another education opportunity. When Chair Hunter when Chair Hunter was here, Chief Fisher got to educate us on concealed pistol licenses, and that was like he was patient enough, and there was like 45 minutes because we're going, what are we talking about? But he will be missed. I really wish Chief Fisher the best, and I'm sad again to see him leave. The other thing I wanted to report out is RL is here. I had a great opportunity, thank you, Executive Mello, to engage with RL on some of the issues and concerns that the board has discussed over the years, and I found the conversation very helpful. Just a completely different approach. I don't think I would ever have had that conversation previously. And we had a city council meeting yesterday and our deputy chief was talking to our emergency management director. And they said, do you know her? Have you heard? And she said, yeah, she called me. So the chatter out there that I hear in various situations is overwhelmingly positive. And one of the things I had to remind myself when I was talking with RL is that, the executive has been here 5.5 months. She has not. She's only been here a month and has hit the ground running. So my point in saying that is, again, I want to remind this board, whether it's in this case, this situation, or in any other issue, areas that you might be dealing with, Pierce County, to remember, I feel like we've kind of gotten in a situation sometimes where we're like, oh, well, nothing's gonna happen. We're not gonna change that. We have a new administration and we have a new DEM director that, assured me that she is committed to relationships. And it's not just words, because I've seen it and heard it from other entities. So please remember, we have great opportunities to fix old problems, find new solutions. And I'm, again, very grateful for the effort, and I appreciate Executive Mello having that outreach done. And then the last thing I've been reporting out to this board is on the audit for Pierce County. And it's my understanding that that audit was rescheduled and that they are looking at rescheduling it. The last I heard was the week of the 26th. I do not know if it's been confirmed, but the auditor's office said once that meeting is confirmed, they will let me know. I will report out and we will take that information to finance and we'll see what happens from there. So with that, is there any other comments or other business announcements for the good of the order? All right, seeing none. We're going to take a brief recess till 9:30 to allow people their bathroom breaks or to clear the room. And then the board of directors will be entering executive session. The purpose of the executive session is to discuss litigation with legal counsel representing the agency pursuant to RCW 42.30.1101I and to review the performance of public employees, RCW 42.30.1101G. And city manager old habit. That's what you, old title, sorry. Interim director, how long do you anticipate? Oh, 40 minutes. Okay,
I
so
think 40 minutes. And so if Chair, you said 9:30 is when
Yes.
we'll reconvene to give folks a little bit of time. So 10:10 is when we'd be back in open session, unless, of course, you extend it further.
And no action is expected, correct?
Correct. No action.
And then the person now that you're requesting to stay in the room.
I've already made those arrangements. So we'll have Russ here initially for the report out on the litigation matter.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so we will reconvene in a couple of minutes. has concluded with no action, and with that, we will stand adjourned.
Thank you.